A Russian soldier fighting in Chasiv Yar says that new recruits sent to the front die almost immediately, with his own unit taking over 90% casualties. The fields are strewn with rotting corpses. To avoid having to pay compensation to relatives, collecting IDs is banned. A soldier of the 88th Reconnaissance and Sabotage Brigade Española, called Ruslan, with the call sign Ruka, has described conditions in the fighting for Chasiv Yar over the summer of 2025, in which thousands of Russians were killed and injured. They recruit people who don't know anything. Millions are spent on recruiting them. They arrive, and immediately they are 200s dead. They're sent to the training ground for 2 weeks with a rifle. Just hold it, shoot it, teach it, and that's it. That's all they do. He says that the new recruits usually die during their first combat mission. Ruslan describes himself as a saboteur by trade, likely a member of a DRG, a sabotage and reconnaissance group. There are 6 of us left. There were 70, now there are 6. He describes how the battlefield is littered with Russian corpses that have not been recovered and are falling apart from decay, or are trapped under the rubble of collapsed buildings. You drive over corpses. There's no other way. It's like that. You just can't tell who you're driving over. We've got 3 brigades buried under slabs. Those in the basement, they simply can't be pulled out. And those who lived on the first floor, they were all blown to pieces. The road of life, it's strewn with corpses. The fields are just littered with them. Why don't they pull them out? They could be pulled out, but even if you wanted to pull them out now, they're all falling apart. You pull on his leg, and the leg comes off. According to Ruslan, his commanders have banned the men from collecting documents from fallen soldiers, because so many have been killed that it's too expensive to pay their relatives compensation for their deaths. We used to go out and collect documents, not corpses, but documents. Then we would bring them to the battalion commander and hand them over. Later, we were forbidden from doing this because it wasn't profitable for the Ministry of Defense. Personally, when I had time, I would collect 70 to 80 military ID cards a day. Imagine that, in a single day. Just imagine. That's millions of rubles in compensation, and there were about 15 of us. 15 of us would go out into the field and collect them. We would arrive and find 700 to 800 military ID cards. Imagine how much money that is worth. 700 to 800 military ID cards. Ukrainian GUR's primary drone unit struck 2 48 Ya-6K1 Podlyot radars and a 9A-82S 300V launcher in Donbass over the past 2 weeks. A group of Russian troops and a Kamaz truck were also hit. Ukraine is steadily degrading Russia's air defense network through precision strikes, loitering munitions, and electronic warfare. Systems are being knocked out one by one, shrinking Russian control of the skies and creating safer windows for Ukrainian strikes and drone operations. And that's not all. We also have a destruction of a Russian Grad-P rocket launcher along with its ammunition. The strike was carried out by drone operators from the Sapsony UAV Battalion of the 30th Separate Mechanized Brigade. The Russian BM-21 Grad multiple launch rocket system, first introduced in the early 1960s, remains one of the most widely used artillery systems in the world. Mounted on a truck chassis with 40 launch tubes, it can fire a full salvo of 122mm rockets in under 20 seconds, saturating large areas with explosive force. In Ukraine, the Grad has been a backbone of Russian artillery fire since 2022, often used to bombard Ukrainian cities, frontline trenches, and logistical hubs. However, its reliance on unguided rockets makes it inaccurate by modern standards, causing widespread collateral damage and civilian casualties. Ukrainian forces have adapted to counter these barrages with counter-battery radars, drones, and precision strikes. As of late 2025, Ukraine reports that over 1,200 Russian Grad systems have been destroyed, captured, or rendered inoperable through drone and artillery attacks, significantly reducing Russia's ability to deliver massed fire across multiple sectors of the front. A journalist from the German media outlet Bild has published video footage showing groups of Russian soldiers in civilian clothing moving in the Pokrovsk area of the Donetsk region. The video captures Russian troops wearing black sportswear and sneakers, with no military insignia, Bild reporter Julian Rupka posted on X. The 7th Airborne Forces Corps shared with Militarny that Russian troops are increasingly disguising themselves as civilians to avoid being targeted by Ukrainian drones and artillery. Recently, information has surfaced that the enemy has started using female soldiers. These women dress as civilians and pose as local residents, carrying ammunition and batteries for radios in ordinary bags or plastic sacks. In intercepted communications, Russians refer to such operations as letting go of the goat, the Corps' press service shared. The military added that such cases are being recorded systematically, particularly near Klishchivka and Chasiv Yar, where fighting remains intense. The footage also shows precision strikes against Russian armored vehicles and positions, demonstrating the effectiveness of reconnaissance operators from the 7th Air Assault Corps. Despite these disguises, Ukrainian units continue to detect and destroy Russian groups using FPV drones and reconnaissance systems. All documented instances of such violations are being passed on to international bodies as evidence of yet another Russian war crime, the Corps said. Analysts note that the use of civilian clothing reflects low morale and shortages of proper equipment among Russian units. According to Ukrainian forces, Russia began using this tactic after suffering significant equipment losses in open terrain. The 7th Airborne Forces Corps also reports that similar cases of disguising as civilians have been recorded in other areas of the front, including near Bakhmut and Avdiivka. Ukrainian officials recently reported that Russian forces are attempting to push deeper toward Pokrovsk, according to the 7th Airborne Forces Corps. Russian President Vladimir Putin announced tests of the Poseidon unmanned underwater vehicle equipped with a nuclear power plant which, officials say, can travel very long distances. According to Putin, tests of the system took place on October 28th. Following a launch from a submarine, the Poseidon prototype reportedly operated its onboard nuclear power plant for the first time to sustain propulsion along a set route underwater. For the first time, we managed not only to launch it from a carrier submarine with a starting engine, but also to start the nuclear power plant on which the device operated for a certain period, Putin said. He described the test as a major success and said Poseidon had no analog in the world for speed and operating depth, and that it could not be intercepted. He also claimed the weapon's yield significantly exceeded that of the Sarmat intercontinental ballistic missile. It is currently unclear which claims are purely Russian propaganda and which may reflect operational reality. Development of Poseidon has been carried out in secrecy as part of Russia's military modernization program. Russian statements say the vehicle can operate at great depths and over intercontinental ranges and could carry conventional or nuclear warheads. The onboard reactor would give it an effectively extended range. In essence, Poseidon is a large-diameter nuclear torpedo intended to deliver a warhead to coastal targets to destroy infrastructure and cause widespread damage. Russian officials have previously said the system can reach speeds above 200 kilometers per hour and operate at depths of at least 1 kilometer. Poseidon has been tested from the Special Project nuclear submarine K-329 Belgorod, which is intended to serve as a carrier. Alleged tests of the system were first reported in November 2022, and in early 2023, Russian propaganda media announced production of an initial batch of Poseidon devices.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comments section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week, it's 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.